$70 million. Gone. In seconds. 2 Russian fighter jets fully armed, ready for combat, reduced to burning wreckage on a taxiway in Crimea. But here's the kicker. This wasn't even the first time this week. Ukraine just pulled off something that defense experts are calling unprecedented. They hit the same Russian airbase twice in 3 days, destroying not just aircraft, but dismantling Russia's entire air defense network in one of their most fortified positions. And if you think you understand modern warfare, what happened at Belbek Air Base is about to change everything you thought you knew. I'm breaking down exactly how Ukraine did it, why Russia couldn't stop it, and what this means for the future of aerial combat. Let's dive in. Okay, so let's set the scene. December 20th, 2024. Belbek Air Base in occupied Crimea. This isn't just any airfield. This is one of Russia's primary military aviation hubs in the Black Sea region. We're talking fighter jets, interceptors, sophisticated radar systems, the works. According to Ukraine's security service, the SBU, their unmanned systems, basically drones, penetrated Russian airspace and hit multiple targets with surgical precision. 2 Su-27 fighter jets were destroyed. Now, for those who don't speak military hardware, the Su-27 is a Soviet-designed air superiority fighter. It's been around since the Cold War, sure, but Russia still uses these bad boys for air defense missions across Crimea and southern Russia. And here's what makes this absolutely wild. One of those Su-27 seconds was sitting on the taxiway with a full combat load. We're talking missiles, ammunition, ready to go wheels up for a combat sortie. The SBU literally caught them with their pants down. The combined value? $70 million in aircraft alone. But the destruction didn't stop there. Ukraine also hit the air traffic control system at Belbek. Now, you might think, okay, so they damaged some radar equipment, big deal. But this is actually huge. Without proper air traffic control, Russia can't coordinate flight operations effectively. Every takeoff, every landing, every combat mission becomes exponentially more dangerous and complicated. Think of it like this. Imagine trying to run O'Hare Airport without any control tower. Planes everywhere. No coordination, chaos. That's essentially what Ukraine just did to one of Russia's most critical military airfields. The SBU statement was pretty clear. This strike further degrades Russia's ability to sustain air operations from the facility. Translation? Russia's air power in Crimea just took a massive, maybe irreversible hit. But wait, I mentioned this was the second strike in 3 days. So what happened the first time? December 18th, just 2 days earlier, Ukrainian drones hit Belbek and absolutely devastated the place. We're talking hundreds of millions of dollars in damage in a single operation. Let me run through the kill list, because it's honestly jaw-dropping. First up, 2 Nebo SVU radar systems. These are long-range surveillance radars designed to detect aircraft and missiles at extreme distances. They're a critical component of Russia's early warning network. Gone. Next, a 92 N6 radar. This is specifically associated with the S-400 Triumph air defense system, the one Russia always brags about being impenetrable and the world's most advanced. Yeah, that one. Destroyed. Then there's a Pantsir S-2 air defense system. This is supposed to be a short to medium-range defense platform designed specifically to shoot down drones and missiles. The irony here is almost poetic, a system built to stop drones getting taken out by drones. But here's the absolute crown jewel of the December 18th strike, a MiG-31 interceptor. The MiG-31 is one of Russia's fastest combat aircraft. It's designed to intercept enemy bombers and reconnaissance aircraft at high altitudes and supersonic speeds. This thing can hit Mach 2.83. It's a beast. And just like the Su-27 inches, the latest strike, this MiG-31 was fully loaded with weapons, ready for combat operations. The SBU specifically noted it was carrying a full combat load when it was struck. Think about what that means operationally. Russia lost not just the aircraft, but all the missiles and munitions loaded on it. That's a double hit, both the platform and the ordnance, gone in one strike. When you add up everything from just these 2 strikes, the radar systems, the air defense platforms, The fighter jets we're looking at potentially close to $500 million in military hardware, destroyed in less than 72 hours. Let that sink in. $500 million at one airbase in 3 days. Now, you might be wondering, why does this one airbase matter so much? Belbek isn't just another airfield. Since Russia occupied and annexed Crimea back in 2014, they've been fortifying this base like crazy. It's become one of their key military aviation hubs in the entire Black Sea region. The base supports fighter operations, interceptor missions, and crucially, air defense operations across a massive operational area. Russian jets flying out of Belbek can cover the entire Black Sea, threaten Ukrainian positions, and intercept Western reconnaissance aircraft flying in international airspace. Russia has also integrated Belbek into what they call their layered air defense network. This is military speak for a really sophisticated, overlapping system of radar, missiles, and fighter jets designed to make the airspace essentially impenetrable. Except, clearly, it's not. See, Russia's strategy in Crimea has always been based on the idea of area denial. They want to create a zone where Ukrainian and Western aircraft can't operate safely. Belbek was a huge part of that strategy. But here's what these strikes reveal. All those layers of defense, all that sophisticated equipment, all that fortification, none of it stopped Ukrainian drones from flying hundreds of miles into Russian-controlled territory and hitting their targets with precision. And that's absolutely terrifying if you're Russia. The Su-27 seconds that were destroyed, while aging, still play an active role in Russian air operations. These aren't museum pieces. They're flying patrols over Crimea and southern Russia. They're intercepting potential threats. They're part of the operational battle plan. Losing 2 in one strike, plus the MiG-31 from December 18th, means Russia's lost 3 fighter aircraft in 3 days from a single location. That's not attrition. That's a systematic dismantling of Russian air power. Let's talk about the elephant in the room. How is Ukraine doing this? The SBU specifically mentioned unmanned systems drones. But we're not talking about the kind of drones you buy at Best Buy. These are sophisticated, long-range strike drones capable of flying hundreds of miles, evading Russian air defenses, and hitting specific targets with precision. Ukraine has been developing its domestic drone industry throughout this conflict, and what we're seeing now is the payoff. They've moved from relying on Turkish Bayraktar drones to producing their own long-range strike platforms. And here's what makes this so revolutionary. Drones are cheap compared to traditional military aircraft. A sophisticated Ukrainian strike drone might cost a few $1 million to produce. An Su-27? $35 million each. A MiG-31? Even more. The cost-exchange ratio is absolutely lopsided. Ukraine is spending pennies to destroy dollars. But it's not just about cost. It's about capabilities. These drones are small, they can fly low, they can navigate complex terrain, and they're really hard to detect on radar compared to traditional aircraft. Russia's air defense systems were designed primarily to shoot down big, fast-moving targets, bombers, missiles, fighter jets. Slow, small drones operating at low altitudes? That's a much harder problem. And Ukraine seems to have figured out exactly where the gaps are in Russia's defenses. They're not just throwing drones randomly and hoping for the best. These are coordinated strikes, hitting high-value targets repeatedly, suggesting really good intelligence and mission planning. The fact they hit the same base twice in 3 days tells you everything you need to know about Ukrainian confidence in their ability to penetrate Russian airspace. So what does all this actually mean for the bigger picture? First, Russia's air supremacy in Crimea is no longer guaranteed. For 2 years, they've operated with relative impunity over the peninsula. Ukrainian aircraft couldn't get close, and long-range strikes were limited. That's changed. If Ukraine can hit Belbek repeatedly, they can hit any Russian military installation in Crimea. Second, Russia's losing critical air defense assets faster than they can replace them. Those Nebo SVU radars, the S-400 components, the Pantsir systems, these aren't things Russia can just churn out overnight. These are sophisticated, expensive systems that take time to produce and even longer to deploy and integrate. Every radar destroyed is a gap in coverage. Every air defense system eliminated is a corridor opened up for future strikes. Third, and maybe most importantly, this is a proof of concept for drone warfare. What Ukraine's doing at Belbek is going to be studied in military academies for decades. They're showing that relatively inexpensive unmanned systems can penetrate sophisticated air defenses, hit strategic targets deep in enemy territory, and fundamentally change the operational calculus of modern warfare. If you're a military planner in any country right now, you're watching this and asking, are our air defenses ready for this? Can we stop a swarm of sophisticated drones? How do we protect high-value assets? And based on what's happening at Belbek, the honest answer might be, we don't know. The strikes on Belbek Air Base represent more than just tactical victories for Ukraine. They're a fundamental shift in how wars are fought. Russia built Crimea into a fortress. They installed cutting-edge air defenses. They stationed some of their best aircraft there. And Ukraine just flew through all of it, twice. $70 million in aircraft, hundreds of millions in total damage, and Russia's air defense network in shambles. The future of warfare isn't just being written, it's being blown up on taxiways in Crimea. If this analysis helped you understand what's really happening in this conflict, hit that subscribe button. We're covering defense and geopolitical developments daily, breaking down complex military operations into clear analysis. Drop a comment. Do you think Russia can defend against these drone strikes? Or is Ukraine about to dominate the skies over Crimea? Thanks for watching. Stay informed. I'll see you in the next one.